Hi, everyone. This is Melanie Smith at Solo Select. We've got a really exciting group of people here today, something a little bit different than what we usually do. So you guys have heard us talk about how to breed your mares and from A to Z of truly the business of horses. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think is even more important than any of that. And it's really talking about the next generation of horsemen that are coming up. And we've got really cool guests today. We've got Mary Crowe here with her son, Trystan Crow, along with one of our stallion managers, Dawn Ham. And we're here to talk about this family and all the exciting things that they're doing in the horse industry right now. They had an All-American Futurity Champion this year, which is unbelievable.
So much fun.
That's a lifetime. People go a lifetime hoping and wishing for that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so for those of you that don't know, that's in the racehorse world, and it is the title for American quarter horse racing. That is what anybody that breeds quarter horses, that is the epitome of greatness there. So that's awesome for you guys. And then Trystan is just absolutely killing them right now on a 4-year-old metallic gray mink mare, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so he's very active showing in the cutting. I know whenever we were at the Ruidoso sale this year, Ty was so complimentary of him and how intrigued he was with the horse business and how well-spoken he was. So kudos to you, Trystan, and especially kudos to you, Mom, because we know how hard that is to develop those kids. I'm sure he has his moments, but
He does,
but we're going to start a little bit today just talking about, I'd love to hear you guys' background. We have, on this podcast, we have people listen anywhere from people that have been in the industry their whole lives to people that are buying their very first horse. And I think they love to hear from people that are in all stages of this. So I'd love, Mary, maybe if you want to start just kind of with how your family got into horses and what that's looked like for you guys.
So I grew up with horses. My dad and granddad raced horses. My granddad was a 50-year breeder before he passed away, and my dad continued with that same love. And then I hit junior high, and cheerleading and the things my friends were doing were way more important than horses. So I stepped away till after college. And then Toby, his family, his granddad had horses and stuff, but his immediate family did not have horses. But he loved it, and in high school would go out and ride horses, and then went on to Lamar, and then went on to work for Lloyd and Boyd both, and then had his own training business. And then before he and I got married, he got into the feed yard business. And so he did that for a while, and now we have a straightening yard. And he does that and then rides the young horses for us. So that works out good for Trystan and I both,
Sure.
and kind of fosters it for Trystan. I was telling Dawn earlier, Tristan's naturally a left-handed kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started out roping, and that was very hard for him to be able to sit up in the saddle, get his rope up, do all the things. And so we had bought a broodmare, a cutting broodmare that Toby had actually trained. And Toby said, "Trystan, would you like to take a spin on her?" And he said, "Sure." And 5 minutes into it, Trystan was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." And then all I could talk about was the futurity. It was like we were skipping everything else and we're on to the futurity.
Yeah. And how old was he at that time?
7.
7 years old.
7. So he's come a long way.
Yeah.
And every day since then, it has been a building process. We've started doing some of our own breeding and went from that one mare to over 40.
Wow. That grew quickly.
Oh, yes.
We hear that story a lot in here. They're like potato chips. You can't have just one. Especially when you start with the broodmares, because if one baby's good, then 40 is even better.
Even better.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I understand how that goes. Well, Trystan, what are your lifetime earnings now in the cutting, including what you've been winning?
Well, after this show, right now, about 360,000, I think.
That's awesome.
Well, is it right? I think that'd
that's
be
probably
close.
pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and tell everybody how old you are.
13.
13 years old. So 13 years old, won over 360,000. Super exciting to have that much success in the cutting this young. And then we hear about the cutting part of it. Tell us about the racehorse side of things with you guys.
So the racehorse side is actually my dad and brother. And my dad has been involved in racing for several years. And my dad's 82. And so, like you were saying, the chance of a lifetime. And absolutely, this was this was his chance of a lifetime. So, and he's got some declining health, and so, but he was able to be there. Trystan and I actually missed the cutting to go and got to be a part of it, but it was so much fun. Just a really cool experience. Yeah. So my dad has done thoroughbred, and then now he and my brother do strictly quarter horses.
Quarter horse racing. Yeah. And the horse that they wanted on, was that one that they bought or raised?
It was one that they bought out of the Redosa sale.
Cool. So, very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Trystan, you've won, like you said, a little over $360,000 so far. Is that like your goal, is winning in the cutting, or what is your reward for the hard work that you put in every day as a 13-year-old kid?
I think most of it is just making sure that people know that you're gonna be there and be a good human and treat your horses right. And I mean, yeah, we help the horses, but they help us just as much as we help them. I mean, I couldn't win this much if I didn't have good horses like my mare, the mink mare, or any of them.
On like the mink mare, tell us the story of this one. Did you guys raise that one, or is that one you guys bought?
We did raise her. We bought her and her mom and her sister, and she's just been a sweetheart. I love her. She's just so amazing. She's just a cookie monster. She's always been so good. We broke her as a 2-year-old. We knew she was a great mare. We posted a video of her, and a lot of people were interested. Just such a great mare and a sweetheart.
She's very cow smart.
Yeah.
Very, very cow smart.
So what does a normal day in your life look like right now? Are you homeschooled?
I am. I usually start school about 8:30 with my teacher, and we go about till 12 usually. And then I'll go out to the barn. Right now we're breeding every day, so I'll go out there, and my vet at home, she's been letting me palpate a couple mares, so awesome. I'm really big into the breeding part. I love the breeding. And then usually in the afternoon, me and my dad will ride the young horses, the 2-year-olds and our 3-year-olds, which now the 3-year-olds are getting sent off to Lloyd and stuff, but ride them and some of my older horses.
Mary, from a management perspective, Trystan's like a high-performing athlete, right? How do you foster that day-to-day with him?
I actually am an occupational therapist, and so I work a portion of the day as well. So he actually ends up kind of being in charge, or at least thinks he's in charge. I have a girl that kind of is more of a barn manager, but he thinks he's the boss, and he goes out there and takes care of things. But just, keeping up with his school and stuff. And you don't get to go to the show if you're not, education is first. I mean, and so you have to take care of your business. So school comes first, and then getting the horses ridden. And, there's days that your friends, maybe you're getting to do something different and you want to do it, but we are leaving for a big show we're gone for 3 weeks. I'm sorry, I have to ride my horse today instead of go and play with you guys or do whatever it is that you guys are doing. And he's really had to learn that a little bit of. His birthday was actually just yesterday.
Okay.
And so he is just transitioning into that older mentality and stuff. And so getting him to realize, this is an obligation, and there is work to be done with it, and it has to be the priority, or you don't have the high rate of success that you've had.
I'm not a parent, but I have all of my own opinions, which are the easiest to have when you're not a parent, right? It's really easy to have opinions on parenting when you're not a parent. But I see and I hear a lot of feedback, especially people in the horse business that are like, we saw that kid win in the youth. Well, their parents just went and bought him this great horse. You hear that a lot. And so I'd love to hear from you how from a young age, you even 3, 4, 5 years old, tried to hold his feet to the fire to make him one of those kids that worked for it.
So he got his first pony when he was 2. For his 2nd birthday, he got a pony, and he just absolutely loved it. And then we got into doing some rodeo stuff and things like that. And at that time, we didn't live at the arena. And so we would take him over and mess with the horses, and Toby would ride. And then when we got our place built and got moved over there and everything, he went to school initially. His first futurity, he was 8, and he made the unlimited amateur finals then. And Toby said, everybody's thinking this is real cute because he is a cute little boy, and we're putting up big money. The entry fee for this is not something that most people are willing to gamble on their 8-year-old, and here we are. And so he has always known what the entries cost and what the importance of that was, so that he knew this isn't something to just lollygag around and mess around. And then I don't even know how old he was when he fell in love with pedigrees. He knows pedigrees better than a lot of adults, lots of times. He honestly does. Just this morning, Toby was asking him about third edge, and he spat it off just like that, exactly what third edge was. And so that is one of the compliments that I get the most about him, is people liking to visit with him about horses and his knowledge. He can tell you what a lot of them have earned, just off the top of his head. He really enjoys that kind of stuff. And his goal is to become a breed pro vet. He has really enjoyed that. And so he understands the importance of that goes along with his winnings and his success in the show pen as well. So, but he's also gotten to be with some really great trainers. We started out with Sean Flynn, and then we moved over to Cody Porterfield has had a part of it, Clay Johnson, and then of course Lloyd. Lloyd's been with us for a long time. And then, guys that help Cullen. He's had so many of those guys that have really taken him under their wing and fostered him. Michael Cooper, there's not a one of those guys that don't come up and at least speak to him and give him a hard time, and he needs that. He needs that, but he looks up to those guys so much. So there are days that he can be a little stink, and it's like, no, we are doing it this way and that kind of thing. But for the most part, he really does. He enjoys going out and doing the things. When our horse shearer is there, he usually comes and spends the whole day, and Trystan's out there helping hold, whether it's one of the brood mares or one of the show mares or even the babies, And Trystan gets up during the night. He does the 2-hour checks during the night when we're foaling, and goes out as soon as that baby's born and stays, Nothing like, they all like to foal at 2 a.m., right? So it's a whole night process. Yes. And he goes out there and he stays through the whole process of making sure that everything's going good.
Well, what do you say to a parent that's out there that has youth kids, that are interested in the horse world, that want to get into it? And I think a lot of people, especially want their kids to be part of the horse industry, especially for reasons just like what you said. We have this amazing community with amazing people in it that help really, foster all these great values that we don't see in so many other places. How do you manage that line, or how do you suggest them to manage that line of giving those kids every opportunity, but also making them work for it?
For it a little bit too. Yes. So Trystan has been fortunate, and he's gotten to ride some really good horses in the youth stuff, because the youth, you don't have to own your own horse. And so that helps to foster that in terms of being able to ride a good horse or borrow a horse from somebody and not have to spend the big bucks and still have success in that youth class. I'm here to tell you, the youth class may be the hardest class there is. I wouldn't want to ride against them for anything, but just giving them that opportunity. The NCHA has some great opportunities outside the arena as well. Trystan last year did the public speaking and won some scholarships doing that. And they do art, and there's a couple of others, but they've really tried to get kids excited, even if it's out of the arena, and then foster that care of coming in and wanting to show and being able to show.
That's really good to know. So I think that's a great resource for people that their kids are wanting to get involved, or they're wanting their kids to get involved, is maybe starting with NCHA. And even if you can't afford the cutting horse or the entry fees, you can get started, make the connections with trainers. And I know for me, I was happy to lope for exchange of getting to go show in the 2000 Limited Rider or whatever it was. Like, it didn't matter what it took. I was happy to do it. And
yes.
So, Trystan, I know one thing is that has always impressed me about you, and I've not actually talked to you, but your videos and listening to Ty and all that, is how well spoken you are. And Ty and I always say, school is what it is. You can get any education you want, but if you can't talk to people, it's just hard.
It is.
And I think that's one thing Ty has really tried to push with his son. And I know Dawn, I'm sure with yours and all of your kids, is Dawn is so well spoken too. Ty's well spoken. Just being able to talk to people. So Trystan, How do you think, did you feel like that was just natural to you, or did your mom make you go and talk to these people, or how do you think you became so well spoken?
I think part of it might have been natural just because I like talking. I mean, I'm a bit of a chatterbox, honestly.
Yeah.
I like talking to people, and just like when I met Ty at the Redosa sale, and I knew how much he's done for the business. I mean, he's a great person. You and him own Solo and have done so many big things, and I want to meet those people that can give me good connections and that are good connections for me, and I can learn so much from.
That's great. Yeah. And speaking of like his NYCHA had the public speaking competition. Tell me about that and what that was about, what you talked about.
So in my, I wrote a speech. Oh, and a speech and a letter. I think I had to write a letter just to
The essay.
an essay.
Oh, an essay. Yes. Okay.
So I just used the same speech for my essay too, but a lot of what I talked about is like how cutting can help a family just be so much together. I mean, everybody knows the NCHA family is just massive, and we try to help each other out as much as we can. And the four people in your corner, I mean, they're everything you got. The four people in my corner help me like I'm their very own son, and that means a lot. That they really treat me, and they know how much I care for the sport and how much I like doing the sport.
I think that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head, because I know here, whenever we have young people that want to come around, especially right out of high school or college, and I'm like, I can teach you to do anything if
Right.
you have a good attitude and you're ready to hook up and work. And I think in the horse business, we're always so excited to have youth like you come around that way, because they're so hard to find. Dawn, talk a little bit on your end. You've been in this horse business for so long. If you're talking to a parent today that wants their youth to get involved, what do you tell them?
Well, I think that, what we're trying to create is, young people that have the morals and the outlook about life, and treat everyone, what's the old saying, treat them like you want to be treated. And I mean, you can just talk to Trystan here for 10 minutes and you can tell he's a good dude. These horses are just a byproduct of what we have to make good humans. With the horse is a vehicle, I guess I should say, to, to grow our kids. And fortunately, I mean, you talk to people like, Carter Platt, Trystan Crow, and there's hundreds more, but you can just tell that sometimes we get scratching our head about the direction this whole world's going in. And you think, we're leaving this to our kids. And then you talk to the guys like Trystan and Carter, it's going to be okay. I mean, it's going to be in good hands. And I think that the horse was just the vehicle to get them to where they become young. I mean, they're young humans. I mean, they're young, grown people when you sit down and talk to them. So that's very refreshing to me. And hats off to mom and dads to Kenny and Becca and to Mary and Toby. I mean, they've done a great job, raising these young people. And it's, the common thing is the horse. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in the winning or, the shiny carrot out there that's dangled out there for us, but we lose sight of what we're really doing is growing these kids to be good people. And the reason we all get together is because of the horse. But at the same time, it's a great opportunity to teach these guys. And I shared this with Trystan and Mary earlier is I'm sure Mary and Toby have always told Trystan, like my parents, always, be on your, mind your manners, and because you never know who's watching, So Trystan didn't know this, but whenever he came up to Ty and I at Ruidoso, I knew who he was. And I feel like, and my wife says she can't take me anywhere that I don't know somebody. But the same thing with Trystan. He came up and spoke with us. I knew who he was. He didn't have a clue who I was. I knew his dad. We actually called Toby out there when we were at Ruidoso. And I said, I know your dad. But I called Toby to commend him on a job well done, because I hadn't got a chance to talk to Trystan that long. I did meet him whenever he was at the Triangle sale up in Oklahoma City when he was selling horses, and he presented the horses like, I mean, nobody could have done a better job than he did that day presenting those horses. And I was just, taken by just his ability to show those horses in that sale ring and, present them. And they were his horses. So it was his money to lose if he didn't do a good job. So I thought that, just a huge congrats to him for going in there and, when a dollar bill is on the line, and just to show him, hey, this is how it works. You raise them, you train them, you can't keep them all. Let's sell some of them. And they were good horses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were good horses. But that's what we do. That's how we make a living. And for them to give him the opportunity to do that, that's something he'll never forget. And personally, I never forgot it either. And then whenever I saw him out there at Ruidosa, little did he know, I already knew who he was, but, yeah, it just was very refreshing to sit there and talk to him. So whenever I saw him, he actually, I saw his mare, and I'm like, I need to try to buy that mare. And then I started doing my research, and I saw a couple of interviews where you said how much you loved it. I thought, I think they just better breed that mare to LB.
Yeah. So this podcast all started with a conversation yesterday between Dawn and you guys about breeding that mare to Shoddy. And we were like, we need to get them on the podcast. That would be a cool, but just so everybody knows, that was kind of how it started. So Trystan, your mom talked about the guys that you guys, Sean Flynn and Lloyd Cox and Clay and Cody and everybody in between that you guys have worked with. When you think of maybe the one or two people that have had the biggest impact on you so far, who do you say that is and why?
Well, first of all, Lloyd, and second, I would say Clay.
Mm-hmm.
Clay Johnson. He's a great guy. He's hilarious.
He is.
I mean, there's never a dull moment. I mean, he's such a great guy. He grew up kind of where we live, and he learned the hard way how to work, and he's a very hard-working guy, and he tries very hard for his customers. And Lloyd, he's a great guy too. He's such a good guy, and he trains a horse so well. He's very nice to his horses. He doesn't treat them bad. He loves the horses just as much as anybody else does, and just a great guy. He's pretty funny too.
Yes, he is. Lloyd is definitely entertaining as well. And kind of to go back on what Dawn said, in an industry where you're showing high stakes, the pressure's on, and things go wrong that are out of your control, you can be completely prepared. You can have the best horse there that day, and you get run over by a bad cow. I think I want to start with Mary on this question, but I want to hear from both of you guys. How do you teach him to be a good loser?
We talk about short-term memory a lot, a whole lot, especially if we're somewhere where we're showing or he's showing more than once a day. You've got to let that run go and know that you did your job. And that's something that Toby especially has always relayed to Trystan is, I'm okay with your run, even if it doesn't work out, as long as you did your job and you had your horse in the right place and you did what you knew you needed to do. That's in cutting cow horse, that's the variable is that crazy cow that can take you out in that fast. And so as long as you've gone and done your job. And the other thing that we talk a lot about is when you try to make it happen and you try to force it, it usually never works out. So just go out there and do what you know how to do and let the chips fall where they will.
That's applicable to life every day. Those are big life lessons that
for sure
that you're learning. You may not know it, but you're learning. So Trystan, how do you handle those days that, you do have the bad cow and still keep a good attitude? What in your mind, what goes through your mind to kind of help you there?
Like my mom said, we're big on short-term memory. That's something we focus very much on. And like she said also, my dad, he's pretty proud of me if I do my job. We're big on the actual cut of the NCHA. Like when you're cutting your cow, that's one of the most important things because there's a saying, if you cut a bad cow good, it's going to be better than cutting a good cow bad. And I think that's very true. I mean, and so I just try and focus on just doing good and just keeping a short-term memory and keeping my mind fresh. I mean, I may not have done what I was supposed to and I could have helped some things, but we're not going to make a big deal out of it and ruin my next run. We're going to try and keep it positive and just keep on going and going.
Mm-hmm. And we always video every run, even if we're at a show that's not a major show, where we can go back and watch it and go back and critique. Oh, you did have your horse in the right spot here, or, oh, see how you're short over here and long there. We can't correct that right here, but we can correct it in our next turn. And so there is lots of learning opportunity
So, obviously you don't just compete in the youth class. I mean, you're competing in the non-pro and the amateurs. So you see all these guys that, that you obviously look up to, and then you're going to go down there and try to beat them, or obviously you have beat them before. So, I will say this, one of the owners in Shoddy is Todd Carpenter. And he's very intimidated by you.
Yeah.
So tell us how you kind of focus on that. Do you just concentrate on your own run, or do you concentrate on, hey, this guy's coming, I know his horse, because obviously pedigrees, so you study your sport,
Mhm.
and so and so has got this great horse coming. I mean, you worried about that, or are you just concentrating on having the best run that Trystan Crow can have?
A little bit of both. I love my competitors. Some of them are great friends of mine. The Huntleys, Christina and EJ. There's a lot of good people that we compete against, and I'd say for the most part, the way NCHA is, it's just a big old family that's just pretty sweet to each other, and we cheer for each other, and like I said, we're always cheering for each other and hoping for the best. If it doesn't go our way, well, let's hope that person does good, because
Absolutely.
they're just so great to the NCHA, and, it is a little intimidating just because, like I said, I mean, some of the non-pros, Dustin Adams, he's won $3 million in the I mean, it's kind of hard to think about, but just like him, such a great guy, and if it doesn't go his way, I know he's cheering for me because that's just how he is.
Yeah, he's gonna have on some funny
Mhm.
sweater or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
Something.
Christmas sweaters, they always get me.
When he first started, I don't think he realized. I think it was just, I'm going out there and I'm having fun. This year at the futurity in the non-pro is when I started to see the nerves kind of come out, and him actually tell us, I'm nervous about this. I'm having to compete at the futurity. It was Allie Good and Colt 45.
Yeah.
And, Toby and I
I
both
think there were
just,
some open trainers that were intimidated by him.
yes, yes. But just reminding him, hey, go do your job. You go do your job and it will take care of itself. He's become a showman. We talk a lot about, there are horse trainers that are not as good as showmen. They do a fantastic job training the horse, but they don't get the presentation down as well. And then you have those that are not as good at trainers, but can come out there and spank everybody in the show pen. And so teaching him that you need to be pretty good at both. You don't have to be the best at either, but be pretty good at both, where you can go and be confident in yourself and what you're fixing to present.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Trystan, you're homeschooled. When your friends are doing the normal 12, 13-year-old things, what do you tell yourself to stay grounded and stay home and get to work?
Man, I love my friends. I have two of them that are best friends. They come over tons of times, but I just have to think about, I mean, these horses, they need to be exercised. These horses, they're so big on athletes. I mean, these horses need the exercise. I mean, they need it. It's something that just has to happen. And so I start to think about that and what they want to get out today. If I want to run, well, I'm sure they do too. They want to move their legs. They're in a stall and they don't like being cooped up all the time. And so I have to think about that and let them get out and see the world and have fun and buck or play or turn them out in the arena, whatever I have to do to just remind myself that, hey, my friends, yeah, they're my best friends. I love them. I mean, they're like brothers to me, but at the same time, these horses, they're like my family. I mean, there's nothing more important than mom and dad and God than those horses.
Mm-hmm. That kind of mindset comes from a parent that is constantly saying the right things and fostering those right conversations. Now, I'm not putting you on a pedestal to say, you haven't made mistakes as a parent. I'm sure there's things you could go back and say, I wish I would have done them differently. But for the parents that are listening, that are like, man, I just want my kid to understand and put those horses first, and those things like that. Like, what are the conversations that you've had with him, or you and Toby have had with him, to make sure that that's his line of thinking?
We've had tons of conversations about, yeah, your friends have called and you want to go with them, but we're leaving for a 3-week show and your horses have to be ridden before we get down there. And just the importance of that has to take precedence if you want to continue to be successful. if you don't want to continue being successful and this isn't your priority anymore, then we need to go do something else. You know, when you decide this isn't fun anymore and you don't love it and enjoy it and crave it, then it's time for us to move on and do whatever that is. But at the same time, reminding him, on those days where he's like, oh, I might want to move on and do something else. Okay, but your long-term goal is to be a equine repro vet. Making those choices to go do something else instead of be out there with Ashley when we're palpating or breeding or foaling, whatever it is, which one is going to help you in the long run? And for the most part, he's pretty good at that. And he really has been given some God-given talent with a horse, and so I think he's naturally drawn to a horse anyway. He can do some pretty special things with those babies that don't necessarily want to, they're curious, but they don't really want to be caught or mess with that much. And he can do some pretty special things with those guys. So I think as much as Toby and I, there's some other God-given talent that goes along with it too.
Absolutely. And so, Trystan, for you, when did this start feeling like something that your parents just do and start feeling like something that was your true passion?
Like you said, I've always rode horses. I've always had a love for them. But when I first rode the cutting horse, it just felt different. I mean, something that really caught my mind was how hard they try for you. My mink mare, she is a cowy horse, and she just tries so hard. Which part of it for her is that she knows she's getting cookies at the end of it. That's definitely a little part of it. But no, I mean, the horses, they try so hard for you. And what made me have a love for it was I wanted to try harder for them, too. I mean, like I said, these horses do so much for us that it just makes you think, well, if they want to do this hard for us, we need to return the favor and let them have babies, and so people can have their prodigy and all that.
That's awesome. And okay, so let's say you're getting ready to walk into the show pen, and we all know that familiar feeling of your heart feeling like it's going to beat out of your chest. How do you mentally talk yourself out of that stress, I guess I would call it, when you're getting ready to go in and show in the non-pro it's maturity this year?
So the non-pro was a little different. I mean, like you said, Allie Good was in it. Big competition, obviously. I feel like not that I'm definitely nervous, but I'm not a super, like, I don't get racing about anything. I don't get very nervous just because I feel like I have a job to do, and I know I can do it. I know I'm capable of it. And so I know that if I try my hardest at what I'm good at, I can do a good job at presenting myself. And so I don't know that I get so much as nervous as I do. If I'm nervous, it's more of like, I need to make sure that I can do my best because I know I can do it. I know I can do it. And if I'm good like I can be, it can be great.
Yeah. And Mary, how do you think, from a parent's point of view, you've been able to foster that attitude right there of like confidence, but not boastful?
We talk about that a lot. It's fine to be good and confident in yourself and your abilities, but you're not going to go and be a jerk and make people not want to be around you. You be kind and humble. We talk a lot about humbleness, and cutting is a very humbling sport. On its own. Absolutely. You can be the amateur super stakes winner and then turn around and have it all fall apart. And so we've talked about that a whole lot, but just being encouraging to him as he gets ready to go in. We have a thing, and we give a fist bump, and I tell him to go do his job, let her do hers, and that I love him. And that's how he walks to the herd. And he's so funny when you ask about how he calms himself. He doesn't even realize he does it. I can tell as he's answering you, but he takes about 3 really deep breaths, and you can see him go in and out. And then he pulls his hat down so tight. Apparently, we really discussed that with him a lot as a small child because he is not letting that hat come off. But those are ways I think that he finally calms himself as he's getting ready to walk to the herd.
That's awesome. And okay, so Trystan, you couldn't be in the horse world for a reason. What would you see yourself doing besides this?
I think that's a tough question because I don't really see myself as anything else. Like she said, I love the repro side of the horses. I think that's the best side. I love messing with the mares. I like seeing the insides of them. I like doing all of that stuff. I've done a C-section on a cow recently, and I don't know. I don't really see myself as anything else, which is bad because you always need something to fall back on. And I do plan to go to college and get a degree, and I guess we'll just kind of play it as it falls. But I plan to stay in the horse business as long as I can stay.
I saw something the other day that you might fall back on. I'm going to share it with you guys. If this, repro vet deal don't work out, I mean, I saw this video of you dancing.
Oh no! I feel like a day.
That's a lot. We'll have to show that on the podcast.
Somebody put us to be on Dancing with the Stars. I don't think that's going to be my career yet.
Mary, what the very biggest, most important lesson the horse industry has taught Trystan, what would that be?
Probably kindness. Honestly, kindness to the horses, kindness to the competitors, kindness to the people that come up to him, to kids. He's getting to the age now where little kids will come to him, and if he's not paying them the amount of attention I think that he should, after they go away, I'm like, listen, there was an older kid that paid you attention. You thought they were the coolest. Brandon Westfall is one of his very dear friends. Brandon's enough older. He didn't have to pay Trystan attention, and he spent the time and took the time. And so I always tell Trystan, it doesn't matter who it is. You've got to spend the time and be kind. And so I think that's probably the
you
biggest.
guys have done a great job with him. I mean, he's a great young man. I know Ty, he just walked in here, but I flew out there to Ty to Ruidoso, and we talked about it all the whole way back. Is how much we enjoyed talking to him, because he, like you said, he knows the pedigrees.
Oh,
and let's say he really didn't know who I was, but I was kind of goating him a little bit just to see how much he knew. And I said, I want to show you a really good cutting horse, So I pulled up a video of Shotty. And says, I mean, it didn't have his name or nothing. And it's just a video. And he said, that's LBR. And I mean, he knew him as soon as he saw him cut. Yeah. So yeah, it was, you guys have done a great job with him. And, it's very refreshing to see, these young people
thank you,
that are not just good showmen, but good humans.
Yes. Well, and on that note, the backstory of Ruidoso, and that he saw Ty and he said, Mom, that's Ty. And I said, okay. And he was adamant that he wanted to go and meet him. And so I was like, okay, take off. And he typically doesn't get real shy, but he kind of got a little bit shy that day. And so I walked over there too, but he knows what he wants and he's willing to go after it.
Awesome.
So,
Trystan, before we wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit about Shotty and tell us why you think it's going to be. I want to hear from a pedigree standpoint and a show horse standpoint, kind of why you think this is the right cross for this great metallic gray mink mare you're showing.
Whoa. He's such a pretty horse, first of all. His athletic ability is out of the world. I mean, Kenny does a great job showing him. And Shotty, I can tell by the way he shows that he wants to help and he wants to be a cow horse and he wants to help Kenny win. And his attitude, I mean, I can tell his attitude's great. He's a good horse. He's beautiful. And another thing, the way he's bred, he can breed to a lot of good mares.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I think that's very important that we have a stallion that, I mean, you can cross him to anything, any of these great mares. My mink mare, I think that would be a perfect cross for him. And I think that those babies will be just the top of the line, top of the tier, and most athletic, beautiful babies, and just very sweet horses.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And so, okay, my kind of final question for you today. Trystan, when you think of what you want your legacy to be in the cutting horse world, what is that?
Man, a godly person. That's top of the list. I want to be a Christian for sure. I want people to know that I was a good person to the world. I want people to know that I love my horses and treat them with the most respect, because I do. And I stay out there in foaling season and I help them, and anything I can do to help them is what I'm going to do. And I want people to know that I was a humble person, a great person, good to my family, good to my friends. And I think that's something I could leave them with, is good to my horses, a very Christian person and good to people, and be a humble person. I mean, like she said, this industry is a very humble sport, and well, if you don't win this time, well, maybe you'll win the next time, but still go congratulate them. I mean, good for them. They've done some good today. So,
well, thank you guys so much for coming up and getting on this. I think it's so cool to hear you guys' story and just hear it from both of you on how you guys are, like I said, we're not only developing athletes, but we're developing the future of the sport. And that's so important. And Trystan, whether you know it or not, you're also helping develop that, not just in yourself, but the way you act and how these younger kids look up to you, and even older kids look up to you, and how you present yourself, and really setting that standard for what's expected out of the youth of our world. So thank you guys so much for coming up here today and for coming and seeing us. And Dawn, thanks for joining us on here. That'll wrap up this episode of the Business of Horses with Solo Select. And thank you guys for watching today.
Good work, Stella.
Thank you guys for coming up.
Thank you. Thank you. That was fun.
So good, buddy.